where creativity gallops free. This is the Artistic Equestrian. Welcome to the podcast where creativity and the equine world collide. I'm your host, Emily McCabe, and whether you're into art, being creative, a horse enthusiast, or just someone looking for a fun podcast to tune into, I'm here to bring you all the fun stuff. Hey guys, Emmy here, and today I'm joined by a total legend in the equine fashion industry, AnnMaree, the founder of Performa Ride. Well, morning, AnnMaree, and welcome to the Artistic Equestrian podcast. I've had this episode circling in my brain for a long time now, and I'm very pumped to have you on. But before we get into all this business on how Performa Ride developed, on a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling today? 1 is like I just stepped in horse poo.
I want to say I'm probably about a 7.
That's on the higher end of the scale. We'll go with that.
Yeah. It's Monday after all. It's Monday, so it can't be too high for a Monday.
Yeah, start of a work week, start of a school week. Yeah. So today we're diving into the real story behind Performa Ride and how your brand developed and your proudest moments. But stay tuned for next week for part 2 for the what it's really like to run a business. Now, first, what was the inspiration behind Performa Ride? Like the beginning.
Yeah. So we pretty much got started because my sister and I were actually, out riding one day, having a lesson with our coach, and it was super hot. Now, I mean, anyone who's lived in Australia through some of our really bad summers, like they're really bad. So, if we went to the store and just got a pair of breeches, which like what was readily available at the time, we're now in our 11th year, they just weren't for Australian conditions. So we found that like really like kind of off-putting. It made it much harder to be an equestrian and really perform. Not that we were doing much performing because we were definitely the weekend warriors. We were just out there with our pony, having lessons and doing all the basic sort of stuff. And we got so overheated that like we had to get off, we had to stop our lesson. It was just really uncomfortable. And so, at the time we were both actually working corporate jobs whilst we've grown up obviously as horse people. We were working corporate jobs, and my sister had said to me, because I'd been dabbling in some sort of like activewear stuff at the time, and she said to me, why aren't we doing this stuff for like horse riders? And I was like, okay, cool. Like I had no sort of fears in my mind. I'm like, let's go. And so it got us really started around doing something athletic and cooling, for everyday riders.
So there was definitely like that gap in the market that you felt you needed to cover and find something that helped everyone and also helped yourself.
Oh my God, absolutely. Look, it's like a two-pronged thing, right? We found that not only was there nothing really readily available for Australian conditions and the heat and sort of the weather, how that comes at you, I guess, throughout the seasons. But it was also the fact that, for me, my body type and people, anyone who's followed us on social media over the years would see that my weight has fluctuated. I've had 3 kids. And so not just through pregnancies, but my weight has fluctuated. And I've always been like that since I can remember. But I couldn't go into a traditional store and be like, that one, I want that one from that rack. And, and even if there was something that fit, it did not fit well. And so I just felt like it was not just about our conditions and the weather, but it was also about suiting more body types and having stretchier options and much more athletic fabrics, and things that were comfortable to ride in.
Yeah, that's why I love the Evolve. They're like look like a breech, but then they're not. They're a tight, and I love the bits. It's like a perfect touch on them.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely source that fabric specifically, and we've seen it started to be used in a lot more not just equestrian brands, but actually a lot of athleisure brands are starting to bring that exact same, really high-end fabric at much higher price points than us. But we definitely thought that was our fabric. It suited our needs. It just like holds everything and hides everything without being uncomfortable, and it's still thin enough for our sort of summer conditions.
So I'm guessing that probably was a very long design progress. Like it took a long time to come out with that end product. What was sort of the range? Like when did you start planning the Evolve tights to now?
I feel like everything that we sort of bring out, it feels like years in the sort of, process. And I'm super fussy. So I will get an idea in my head and it just will like bounce. I don't know if I feel like maybe I want to say, is everybody like this? Does everyone get ideas in their head and they're just like they bounce around, and they stay in their head for really long periods of time? I just get an idea and I'm like, okay, that, and we will test different fabrics. Like I've actually traveled to a lot of fabric manufacturing to see how fabrics are made so that I can pick and choose exactly what we want. And so for me, it is a really long process to make sure it's just how I want it. And I won't release something unless it's exactly how I want it. Otherwise, I feel like it does like a disservice to the idea in my head and then to our customer as well.
Yeah, they're definitely like my all-time favorite type. Like as soon as you sent me that first pair, I was like, oh my gosh, like finally something that fits. Because I've always been
Yeah.
like in between sizes, in between everything. Like my jackets are like size 7. Like you don't go to the shop and just get a lady size 7. Like that's just not out there. So yeah, but I gotta say, your
Exactly.
this jumper is my all-time favorite. Like this and the Evolve tights, chef's kiss with the rose gold like matching. It was meant to be. Yeah.
Yes, very much. Look, that tenacious sweatshirt definitely for me, the fabric is phenomenal because it cuts out like that wind and it's sort of really, without being overly hot, I find a lot of fleece lined, sort of like fleece hoodies and stuff, they do get, you can get really hot really quickly. Whereas that sweatshirt just has this amazing ability to keep you at like the perfect temperature while you're riding, or I don't know, me, I wear it everywhere. I go to like my kids, sort of training and practices, and I'm wearing it all the time. Not today because our warehouse is super cold. So I'm in the storm jacket today because our warehouse is freezing. And so I rug right up it.
Yeah, it's like my go-to. I chuck it on when we have to like go up to Coles or anything. It's just like the best.
Yes. Thank you. I'm so glad you like our range. Honestly, like you said, it takes a really long time to get to the point where we feel like we're ready to launch stuff. And so when things are like received really well, it's like a really nice, like it's a validating feeling that okay, we're on the right track because I don't know, we're still people behind the brand and it's still like my choices. And I feel like when things are not received well, I'm like, oh my God, I made a bad choice?
Yeah. How did you come about keeping the range all cohesive so it all like relates? For example, my tenacious sweatshirt and the Evolve tights just like match perfectly. So how have you gone about keeping everything cohesive?
I'd love to say that we had like a big marketing team and they plan everything and make sure that all the details match. And it's not like that. Here we're a bit I don't know, it's sort of fly by the seat of your pants. For me, it's just like in that moment, whatever I'm feeling and the colors, that's what sort of comes out. And so, say for example, when we launched our Oasis tights, so in the Evolve range, so our summer range, the Oasis, I love those deep teal colors. And I thought,
Oh,
you know
oh my
what, like
God, my favorite.
and pairing that with like rose gold was kind of risky. And I thought, no, let's do it. So, because that has become kind of a signature in our most recent ranges, is that rose gold. And so we're trying to bring the rose gold through more, I guess, in a lot of our ranges. But I don't know, I like when you see colors together. So, and I like maybe things that don't normally or traditionally in equestrian where you don't see together. So, Oasis, that really beautiful deep teal, you're not seeing a lot of. And so I wanted that, and alongside the Island Breeze, which was obviously those really cool sort of, I don't know, oceany tones, where it's like shallow water in like Vanuatu or something, it was just, I could see that in my head how they would come together. And so I think that, I don't know, I'm assuming everybody has that kind of vision where they see things in their head and they're like, wow, that's going to look so cool. And so I just sort of, that's exactly how it all comes together. I see it in my head and I'm like, that's going to look amazing if I can get exactly the colors I want in exactly the fabric I want. And we try and carry that through across our ranges now, like by adding the matching belts and things like that.
I would love to see some matching socks. Just a hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
It's coming, I promise.
Yeah. What have been your biggest achievements in Performa Ride's journey? Like
Oh,
moments that you're the most proud of?
look, you know what? There has been a lot of speed bumps along the way, but I would say that one of our proudest moments was having, like, so when we first launched our competition type, so our flexion, what was called our flexion range, there was really nothing like it on the market, and we were super nervous because a lot of people, even actually some of our ambassadors at the time, had said, no one's going to wear these in competition. They're going to be just for pony club riders. They're not going to be, worn at all the big shows. I think within about 2 or 3 weeks of us releasing them, the grand champion at Grand Nationals was wearing our flexion tights. And actually, that was such an achievement because I felt like there was so much doubt that had been sown, into our minds about, I guess, their ability to be worn at high level competition. And it just all got washed away, from that one single moment, that one single, event and one single class that really felt like such an achievement given the doubt that had been sown, in our minds about it.
Yeah, that's so cool. So I'm guessing that's like your moment where you're like, whoa, I really built something special.
Yeah, there's a few of those. I think, some of the maybe more riskier things that we've done, I feel like they're really achievements because I feel like we do a lot of things that a lot of Australian brands, not just equestrian brands, but a lot of Australian brands don't do. So, like, I travel to the US 3 and 4 times a year for trade shows where, we go out of our way, very much out of our comfort zone to meet with other stores and other brands and creators. And that has been a really special journey for us as well, all the amazing people and supporters we have around the world.
Yes, definitely as someone who's never been out of Australia, when you go out, I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I feel like Performa Ride has really changed the game and not just style, but with comfort and confidence, making riders feel like strong in their own body. You've created such an inclusive and empowering brand. They are definitely my go to clothing, even when I'm not riding. Okay, guys, that's a wrap on part one, but don't go galloping off just yet. Make sure to stay tuned for next week, where part two will come out, where we dive into the real talk, the struggles, the setbacks, and the behind the scenes of building a business. AnnMaree, thank you so much for sharing your story today. It's definitely very inspiring, and I hope you all learned something from it. I'll pop all things Performa Ride in the show notes below. If you love this episode, please leave us a review on the Artistic Equestrian Instagram. Until next time, keep creating, keep writing, and keep believing in yourself, even on those wobbly days. I'm Emily McCabe, and this was the Artistic Equestrian.